We showed you this yesterday, that Daniel Andrews announced the second of two horrible announcements over the weekend, yet it didn't really raise a shockwave with people. Yesterday, it was confirmed that 29 people had died of coronavirus this weekend. 29 people. Here was the announcement today.
There have been 210 deaths due to this pandemic in Victoria. That is an additional 17 fatalities since our last update. They include 2 males in their 50s, 4 males in their 70s, 4 females and 2 males in their 80s, and 2 females and 3 males in their 90s.
Now, we have got so used to these announcements about the daily deaths, and now the fact that it's hundreds of people that have died in Victoria since the decisions of that government got the virus its second wind. But I can't believe how callous we have now become about how we announce the number of people who have died in this thing. Today, we didn't get an announcement via a press release. We didn't get an announcement via the Premier. We learnt on Twitter this morning at 9 o'clock in the morning that another 19 people had died. In just 3 days, 48 people have died. We have gone from the Premier being the one to tell us to now it being shoved out in the morning as if it was so routine that people died, that it came out via Twitter. Again, they hide as the least significant statistic that you will read on the Victorian government's website the number of people who have died. It is more relevant, according to the Victorian government, to tell you about the number of tests that they have done. It is more relevant to tell you about the number of people in hospital than the total number of people who have died, the extreme bulk of which have happened in the second wind of what is happening in Victoria. Now, I know that it's easy for some to minimise this about the ages, about the comorbidities. And I understand that people in Australia have always died of other things. They will continue to die of other things than coronavirus. But are we honestly that uncaring about our oldest citizens that when they die they are just a number? No one follows up to publicly say what their names are, let alone their photos. The government lists them as the least significant statistic on their website, and now they just punch it out on Twitter that another 19 lives have been lost in the past 24 hours, 48 in the past 3 days. 35 people were the number of those who were murdered by Martin Bryant back in 1996 in Port Arthur. 48 have died in the past 3 days, yet they decided to tell us via Twitter. The Prime Minister has confronted some of this ugly chat that for some reason the age somehow reduces the tragedy. Of course, if it's a member of your family, we would all fight for the chance for them to have an extra day, an extra week, an extra month or an extra year. The Prime Minister confronted this today.
There have been some suggestions, I've read it in pieces that have been read in the outlets that you represent, that somehow our elderly should in some way have been offered up in relation to this virus. That is just a hideous thought, an absolutely amoral, hideous thought, one that I have had no countenance with from the very first time it was suggested.
We've lost so much during this pandemic. Basic freedoms, jobs, a sense of national unity. But can we really not lose the basic compassion that we know the names of the people who die as a result of this situation? Now again, I'm not somebody who believes that lockdowns need to go forever. I'm not somebody who believes in hard borders that break up families. I'm not somebody who believes that people should not be able to travel from one part of the country to another to attend a funeral. I'm also not somebody who believes, it's just the flu. It ain't the flu. But could we please have a little more humanity about this? These people are not statistics. They are human beings with families. Could the media take a little time to work out who their names are? To show us their faces? Because they are the ultimate human toll of all of this. Instead, the advertisements that will be running, taxpayer funded in Victoria, will be about young people and how crook they got. Are we really that screwed up as a country?